Today is easily going to be one of the best recaps of the year because Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner, they both made some insane history last night, and then their buddy Bryce Harper, he got into it with Angel Hernandez because of course he did, and Bryce did not hold back. Matt Olson, he did something that no Atlanta Brave has ever done before, not Hank Aaron, not Chipper Jones, and the Texas Rangers bullpen, they might be the worst bullpen I've ever seen. All of that in today's MLB Recap, and just a reminder, Recap is presented by SeatGeek. Use code Fuzzy to save 20 bucks off on tickets. Also use code Fuzzy on Underdog Fantasy, and they will match your deposit up to $500 if you use that link in the description down below because it's only for new users. Now, before we talk about anything, check out this Marlins and Mets game because this is actually super confusing. So this game was suspended in the 9th inning with the Marlins up 2-1 with 2 outs. So they were so close to winning this game. Again, they suspended it, and they will only resume it if it affects the playoffs, and if it doesn't, it will revert back to a 1-0 Mets score, and the Mets will be declared the victor. What? Now, because we just talked about the Mets, one more thing before we get into the games from yesterday. Apparently, the Mets are going to be going all in on not just Shohei Ohtani, but maybe Juan Soto as well. And this comes from Jeff Passan, one of the most, if not the most trusted reporter in all of Major League Baseball. So if he's saying that Juan Soto might be going to the Mets, this could be a fun offseason. All right, here we go. The games from yesterday. The Braves can not only clinch home field advantage with a W here, but they can also knock the Cubs out of the wild card race in the NL. And there's Matt Olson making history. His 54 home runs and 136 RBIs are the most ever by an Atlanta Brave. Both the home runs and the RBIs. Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews, both Chipper and Andrew Jones, they never did that. And Matt Olson, he's not even going to finish top 3 in MVP. I think it goes Ronald, Mookie, Freddie, and then Matt. Michael Harris, he doubled in another. He's got 53 extra base hits and 20 stolen bases. Ronald, he now has 105 RBIs as a leadoff hitter, and this game was a wrap. Seiya, he's trying his best to make up for that error from a few days ago. He had a couple RBIs, just it wasn't enough to rally the troops. Raisel Iglesias, he collected his 32nd save of the season, and yes, the Cubs are now out of the playoff race, but at least Dansby Swanson made this cool play. He's got 19 outs above average. That's pretty good. So the Braves, they wrap up home field advantage, and the Cubs are a half game back of the wild card. The Cubs have lost 13 of their last 20. That's unacceptable for this time of the year. We have one more team that is on the verge of clinching, and that is the Baltimore Orioles. They're facing off against the Red Sox, and they can clinch the AL East and become the second team in baseball to 100 wins. Anthony Santander, he had Dean Kremer's back. He has 28 home runs, and Dean, he didn't allow a single run the entire night. He outdueled Chris Sale, who looked pretty dang good, by the way, just 3 hits over 5, but Dean, he was cooking with hot oil. He fried up the Red Sox for 8 punch-outs over 5 1/3. He only allowed 2 hits, so Dean Kremer, Kyle Bradish, and Grayson Rodriguez, they are all getting hot at the perfect moment. And now the Orioles have Heston Kjerstad up there in raking. He doubled in Adam Frazier. He's got a 132 OPS plus in his first 10 games. Former starter Tyler Wells, he notched his first career save, so Baltimore, they clinch the AL East and they get home field advantage in the playoffs. Another team that is trying to clinch, we have the Rangers in the AL West, and just a little update on the Hector Neris versus J-Rod situation from yesterday. Yesterday I said that I wasn't sure of what Hector Neris said, but it was bad enough where J-Rod and Hector Neris, who are both from the Dominican Republic, they've been friends before, they're buddies. J-Rod said he might never speak to Hector Neris ever again, so I don't know what Neris said, but it was not good. Anyway, that's not the start that the Mariners were looking for. Leody Taveras, he's having a breakout 2023 campaign. He's got 14 home runs, 14 stolen bases, and 7 outs above average defensively. That's really good. Adolis Garcia, he's 1 home run away from 40. He has 107 RBIs, and there's J-Rod. He now has 32 home runs, 37 stolen bases, and a mind-melting 12 outs above average in the outfield. Just like Matt Olson, I mean, J-Rod is having a historic season, but he might not even finish top 3 in MVP, which is insane. Jordan Montgomery has been carrying the Rangers lately. This dude shut down the Mariners for 1 run over 6 innings. He has 2 earned runs combined over his last 4 starts, which means he has a 0.67 ERA over the last 4 weeks. So Texas is all but ready to tuck Seattle in and say night-night to their season. But the Texas bullpen, I mean, they had other plans because they stink at being clutch. JP Crawford, he's pretty good at being clutch. A 2-run double saves the Mariners season. And then Andres Munoz, he shut it down in the next frame. So Seattle, they have 3 games left back, and they're still just 1 game back of the AL wildcard. So Seattle really needs either the Astros or the Blue Jays to implode. But yeah, the Jays are not interested in doing that. Kevin Cavan Biggio, he's going to play solid defense no matter where you put him. That's a sick play at second base. Dalton Varsho, he's been so much better over the last month or two. 6 home runs, 20 RBIs, and an almost 815 OPS over his last 33 starts. Matt Chapman is trying to find that early season magic. He's got 16 home runs now. He's actually been pretty bad since, what, the 3rd month of the season. Biggio and Belt, they broke it open. That RBI single from Cavan, and then a 3-run tater from Brandon Belt made it 6-0. By the way, Brandon Belt has a 140 OPS plus since 2020. Chris Bassett, his arm is made of metal, and he finally crossed 200 innings in a season, and he did it in style. 12 strikeouts, only 2 base hits allowed over nearly 8 shutout innings. He was just 1 out away, but the Blue Jays said, no, we're not trying to blow this one, so they brought him some relief arms. The Jays, they're still in 2nd place in the AL wildcard. We saw the Braves clinch 1st place. We saw the Orioles do the same. Arizona, they can clinch a spot in the wild card, and they're facing the White Sox, so it shouldn't be that hard, right? Well, Andrew Vaughn doesn't care about your playoff hopes. He's got 21 home runs and a 103 OPS plus. The on base could be a little bit better, but he just turned 25 years old. I thought he was approaching 28, 29. No, he just turned 25, so he has plenty of time to get better and better. Moncada, man, his contract is looking downright stinky over his last 194 games. I know he just went yard, but he has a 232 batting average, an 84 OPS plus, and -5 DRS. He got paid $30 million to do that. So with that loss, the Diamondbacks, they do have to wait, but I think that they're going to make it. We're going to recap the Bryce Harper ejection after this doubleheader between the Tigers and the Royals. It wasn't a true doubleheader because game number 1 was a continuation of a suspended game. Miggy, he now has 511 home runs. The game of baseball is really going to miss Miggy, but for me as a Cleveland fan, he made my childhood pretty painful because he was so good, but over the last few years, he hasn't been that great. Anyways, we're all going to miss Miggy. Tarek Skubal, he was out of his mind again. Like, I don't know if he was angry or someone upset him before the game. He only went 4 innings, but he struck out 8 Royals over his last 36 innings, that's 6 starts. He has a 1.25 ERA and 52 strikeouts. He, Blake Snell, and Tyler Glasnow, they have been on a different planet lately. Tyler Nevin, he had a 3-run home run. Jake Rogers, he mashed a 2-run tater, his 21st of the year. Look at Jake Rogers. He has 27 home runs as a catcher. That's really, really good considering he's pretty good at defense as well, and he's also great at calling games. The Tigers take fake game number 1, and then they're going to take game number 2 as well, but it took a while. That crazy catch from Zach Short basically shifted all of the momentum to the Tigers. And here comes the offense. I think that Kansas City left in Cole Reagan's a little bit too long. He completely ran out of gas, and it was pretty evident. Parker Meadows, he had an RBI single. Matt Vierling, he ties it with a 2-run single. Andy Ibanez, he clutched up to give the Tigers a lead, and this is so awesome. Like, it's so, I'm almost emotional. Spencer Torkelson, he enters the 30 home run club. That's 65 extra base hits, 93 RBIs for Torque. He's got 22 home runs and a near 860 OPS over his last 80 games. That is really good production. The breakout is finally happening, and the Tigers, they win both games. All right, here we go. The Phillies game. Kyle Schwarber, he might be having the wackiest, no, this is probably the wackiest offensive season of all time, and I genuinely mean that. He's hitting 194 with a whopping 212 strikeouts, but he has 46 home runs and a 121 OPS plus because he has 125 walks. He's about to become the first player ever with 100 RBIs in the same season that he hit under 200. All right, shifting gears to Bryce versus Angel Hernandez. That wasn't even close to being a swing, like not at all. Bryce Harper, he tracked down Angel. He got some good choice words in there, and then he tossed his helmet into the stands, and a kid got it. And then after the game, Bryce Harper, he went out and signed that helmet. Just a W all the way around for Bryce Harper. And then he said this after the game.
Angel in the middle of something again. I mean, it's just every year. It's the same story, same thing. I'm probably going to get a letter from Michael Hill, and I'm going to get fined for being right again. It's the same thing over and over and over and over again, and just not right.
Bro really said that he's gonna get fined for being right again. Anyway, Pittsburgh, they actually won this game. Jason Triolo, he smoked 2 RBI doubles to give the Pirates their lead, and then Sawinski, he drove in a huge 3rd run because Trey Turner, he was wreaking havoc on the bases. He now has 30 stolen bases. He has not been caught stealing one time. That is an MLB record. He has 35 consecutive stolen bases dating back to 2022, but the 30 stolen bases without being caught in a single season, that's never happened before. David Bednar, he's got 38 saves because he's David Bednar. He's amazing. Now, we just talked about Bryce Harper, and staying with kind of Bryce Harper history, Nolan Jones just joined Bryce in history. We'll talk about that in a second because JD Martinez, he has 100 RBIs on the dot now on his 32nd home run. He has a 141 OPS plus since 2014, almost a decade of dominance. Chuck Nasty, he got one of those back, and then Hernandez snatched that run right back on a moonshot of his own. Holy back and forth. Rookie Brenton Doyle, he doubled in 2. He finished the game with 4 RBIs, so don't go anywhere. Hopefully, I always botch his first name, Elieris Montero, he can keep this up. That's a 2-run home run. He was one of the bigger pieces of the Arenado trade, so hopefully he can get going. I don't know who Sean Bouchard is, but he has a home run in back-to-back games. The Rockies, they kept teeing off. Nolan Jones, he knocked in 2 on another extra base hit, and Brenton Doyle, there he is, 2 more RBIs on a triple in the 7th inning. The Rockies ended up with 14, but how did Nolan Jones join Bryce Harper in history? He is the first left-handed rookie since Bryce Harper in 2012 to have 15-plus home runs, 15-plus stolen bases, and 10 defensive run saves. You guys like those cherry-pick stats? That's one of my best ever. We love narrative ball on this channel. Minnesota had a tough outing versus the A's of all teams yesterday. Nick Allen, he knocked in J.J. Bleday, and Luis Medina, he was pretty good. He's having a rough rookie season, not gonna lie, but he has shown flashes that he can be pretty good. He does have sky-high talent, but the walks, man. So yesterday, he held the Twins to 3 hits and 1 run over 6, but he did have 3 walks, and that's why he was not able to go 6 innings or 8 innings, anything like that. Like, walks are not an issue if you're not allowing base hits and striking out everyone like prime Nolan Ryan or 2023 Blake Snell. But hey, I guess it worked yesterday for Luis Medina. Ryan Noda, he put his team out in front with his 16th home run. And Trevor May's been insane over the last month. He has 21 saves on the season, but 9 saves and 0 runs over the last month. And the dude's been through a lot, so I'm happy for him. The Brewers are getting a massive boost on the offense and defense and the bases with Garrett Mitchell being back in the lineup. We'll talk about him in a second. Yelly, he got on in the first, and he scores on a William Contreras single. Garrett Mitchell got on base 3 times in this game. He scored on that Yelich single. Garrett Mitchell, he's got a cannon for an arm. He flies on the bases. He has an elite eye at the dish, so he's going to walk a lot, which means free stolen bases because he's that fast. Corbin Burns, he only tossed a handful of innings because this was a little tune-up start before the playoffs. And then Julio Teheran came in and did what in relief? 4 innings of shutout relief baseball, only allowed 1 hit on 52 pitches. That is really efficient. So look at the Brewers beating the Cardinals 3-0. And then some guy named Small, like I think his name is Ethan Small maybe, he got his first save. So before we do today's Immaculate Grid, a quick update on the standings. The Orioles, they have 100 wins. They've won 5 in a row. They officially clinched the AL East. The Rangers, they're 2 games ahead of the Astros and 3 games ahead of the Mariners for first place in the West. So what does that mean for the wild card? The Mariners are 1 game back of the Astros, but the Astros are 1 game back of the Jays. So if the Jays or the Astros falter and the Mariners go on a win streak, these could flip-flop daily. And then in the NL wild card, the Padres are still in it, but by the skin of their teeth. They're 3.5 games back. The Reds are 1.5 game back. The Cubs are a half game back. The Marlins, they're in it right now. But if the Padres go on a win streak and all of these teams lose, they'll actually be ahead of the Cubs and the Marlins, and they'll be in the playoffs. All right, today's Immaculate Grid. Let's go ahead and get this out the way because I know you guys are going to really enjoy me putting Francisco Lindor as the Guardians and the Mets. So we have a Met and an Astro. I'm not going to go with that one. Let's go with the Astros and the Brewers. I got Carlos Gomez. You guys remember when Carlos Gomez was an absolute menace to society back in the day? We have the Guardians and the Brewers. I'm going to go CC. Actually, let me go with one that is a lower one. I'm going to go Owen Miller because I could go CC Sabathia, but I'm not going to do that. Owen Miller. The Guardians and the Nationals, Brad Hand. That one is super easy. There we go. Brad Hand, 6%. An all-star for the Nationals. I know Ryan Zimmerman. I could go Bryce Harper, but I'm going to go Ryan Zimmerman, kind of a throwback pick right here. Didn't Ian Desmond make an all-star team as well? Robin Yount. I know that he for sure made one. Let's go with the Mets all-star. Lindor got robbed this year, so I'm not going to go him. David Wright, one of my favorite players of all time. I'm really slow today. I'm sorry, guys. But David Wright. Jonathan VR was on the Astros one upon a time. I'm going to go with Jonathan VR, and if I get this wrong, I actually won't be that mad because I don't really care about either of these teams. Let's see. Oh, he was 0.4. Look at me go. And then the Astros and the Nationals. There's probably one that's staring at me, and I'm losing it. The only guy that is coming to my head, and I only know this player because we share the same first name of Preston, and then by happenstance, we also have the same birthday, July 19th. Preston Wilson, same name, same birthday. That's the only reason why I kind of know the lore of Preston Wilson. I think he was on the Astros, and I think he was on the Nationals. That's the only kind of name that's coming to my head aside from the obvious of, I think Mark Melanson was on both teams. I'm just going to go Preston Wilson and just cross my fingers. There we go. That's going to do it for today's recap. And just a quick favor, my editor, Camden, he's coming out with a brand new video today on Roberto Clemente. So this is Camden's channel. It is Cam23. Go spam him with subscriptions. He's going to be posting that video later today. So tell him I sent you, and I'll see you guys over there.